There is a plant that delivers all 9 essential amino acids in one harvest. It grows in poor soil, shrugs off drought, and feeds both people and soil at the same time. It doesn't require expensive inputs, refrigeration, or complex processing. And yet it rarely appears in development programs, major agricultural funding, or global food strategies. That contradiction alone should make every gardener stop and pay attention, because when a plant is this complete and this resilient, its absence tells a bigger story. This is not hype. This is biology, history, and soil wisdom colliding. Most plant foods are nutritionally incomplete on their own. They require pairing to provide all 9 essential amino acids the human body cannot make. That's why traditional diets often combine grains and legumes. This plant breaks that rule. Its protein profile is complete, comparable to animal protein, without the land, water and feed costs that livestock require. For gardeners focused on resilience, this matters deeply. It means one crop can cover protein needs instead of managing multiple plantings, harvest windows and storage methods. It simplifies food security at the garden scale in a way very few plants can. The secret lies in how the plant manages water. Instead of shallow roots that panic in dry soil, it sends roots deep, accessing moisture long after surface layers dry out. Its leaves are structured to reduce water loss, and its growth rhythm slows naturally during stress, then resumes when conditions improve. This makes it ideal for unpredictable climates. Where rainfall fails, this plant still produces. Where irrigation is limited, it adapts instead of collapsing. It was never designed for abundance alone. It was designed for survival. This plant doesn't just extract nutrients, it gives back. Its roots interact with soil biology in ways that improve structure and nutrient cycling. When leaves are harvested correctly, regrowth is stimulated without exhausting the plant. Over time, beds planted with it become richer, not poorer. Organic matter increases and microbial life really thrives. Instead of rotating it out, gardeners historically kept it in place as part of a permanent food system. Why do large institutions ignore it? Well, big agriculture favors uniformity, predictability, and centralized control. This plant resists all three. It grows too easily, saves seeds too reliably, and doesn't require yearly inputs or proprietary systems. From a funding perspective, it just doesn't generate dependency. That's why it often remains labelled as minor, traditional, or subsistence, even though it can outperform many promoted crops under stress conditions. It empowers small growers instead of supply chains, and honestly, that alone explains its absence from large-scale agendas. So, how to grow it with almost no effort? Establishment is simple. All you need to do is choose a sunny location with basic drainage. This plant tolerates poor soil, but, it really responds well to biological activity. Seeds are sown directly, just lightly covered, and then watered once thoroughly. After emergence, it requires minimal care. Weeding during early growth helps, but once established, it competes well on its own. Water only when the soil is completely dry for extended periods. Overwatering is actually more harmful than neglect, so keep that in mind. Feeding it the natural way is best. Instead of fertilizers, use soil stimulants that wake up biology. A simple, effective liquid feed supports both growth and protein density. Mix 1 tablespoon of unsulfured molasses into 5 liters of water. Apply this at the base of plants once every 3 to 4 weeks during active growth. This feeds microbes, which in turn unlock minerals already present in the soil. Do not exceed this amount. Balance matters more than force. Harvesting without weakening the plant is key. The most powerful technique is, honestly, selective harvesting. Instead of cutting everything at once, you just remove the outer leaves regularly and leave the center intact. This triggers continuous regrowth while maintaining photosynthesis. With this approach, harvest can extend for months from a single planting. The plant stays productive, resilient and balanced, instead of getting stressed and depleted. There's nutritional density here that goes way beyond just protein. Protein may be the headline, but it's definitely not the whole story. This plant also provides iron, calcium, magnesium and antioxidants, and unlike many leafy crops, these nutrients remain available even under dry conditions. For gardeners building a self-reliant food system, this combination is really rare. One plant covers calories, protein, minerals and soil regeneration all at the same time. So, why does this plant really belong in every serious garden? Well, this is not just some novelty crop. It's actually a foundation plant. It fits right into raised beds, open ground, and mixed plantings, no problem. Plus, when you let it flower, it supports pollinators too. It just integrates so easily with fruit trees and perennials. Once you start growing it, the question becomes pretty obvious. Why isn't this everywhere? Reclaiming forgotten abundance is what we're talking about here. Nature's blueprint is really about remembering what actually works, not just chasing trends. This plant survived centuries of droughts, failed harvests and changing climates because, well, it was designed to do exactly that. Modern systems didn't outgrow it, they just stopped paying attention. So, if you want a garden that can feed you even under pressure, this plant really belongs at the center. And hey, if this changed how you think about protein, resilience and soil, go ahead and subscribe to Nature's Blueprint. Share this with someone building a serious garden and help bring powerful plants back where they truly belong.